Alright, I'm at the end of my experiment here. I got about 4 hours, 20 minutes. I just decided to call it quits because it's at 12.4 volts on the battery that's load at the moment. And just a little scope of everything that's going on here. This is the UPS that I started with. It was putting out 85 volts with the battery hooked up to it, AC. So that's slower than I expected. I don't know if that's good for electronics. No load, it was putting 0.3 amps. This other UPS that I have that I did not use, but I played with during the test. UPS 550 by ABC. So that one put out 102 volts, and that was taking 0.7 amps, no load. Lastly, this little inverter. It was taking 0.15 amps, no load. It was putting out 110 volts AC, so it was the one that was closest to 120 volts. Of course, I don't know of any of these. I do have I guess a electrical sine wave or square wave tool that I could check and see what kind of wave they're putting out, but I think they're all putting out a square wave. But just going on the voltage, of course this one probably is not the best for the electronics, and then this one's better, and this one probably be the best. This one continuous output wattage is 400 watts, max 800. This one is rated at 450 max, and this one was at 350 max wattage. So again, here's the battery, Mighty Max, 12 volt, 9 amp hour. And I did some calculations, just trying to figure out what the heck's going on here. The small UPS, which is that top one right here, we were using 1.1 amps to run the fish tank pump, which equals 13 watts. No load, 0.7 amps, 8 watts. This is all, 12. I'm calculating it off of 12.5 volts. Let's see, the big UPS, this big one that I started the test with, 0.56 amps, 7 watts, and 0.3 amps, no load, 4 watts. Of course, that was the one that had the lowest output voltage, like 85 volts AC. The inverter drew 0.8 amps at the highest voltage output of 110. 10 watts usage for the fish tank pump, and no load, 0.15 amps on the inverter, 2 watts. This one did have a fan that would kick on, and I think it might be better long term. But of course, I did use the black one for 4 hours, and it was a small wattage. I don't think it would hurt it. I know some people say that you shouldn't do that because they could overheat. So that's about it. I was surprised how long the fish tank pump ran. I think it would have ran less as far as time if I'd used the inverter or the smaller UPS. I will say I opened up both these UPSs to see what they looked like inside. This one, it had a transformer, but it was the size of like a golf ball, and it had a lot of looks like integrated circuits that were attached to some heat sinks. And this one looked like it had a date stamp on the inside of 2010. And then this one had a transformer that was more like a little smaller than my fist, and it did not have those integrated circuits that were attached to heat sinks. So, and this one was probably made 2015, 18. And then this is probably about 5 years old, 2015, 18 again. I did find some nice calculators online that you can plug into amps and your battery size, and it'll give estimates. Some of them were wildly seemed inaccurate. Like they would say the 7 amp hour battery would last for 13 hours. I was like, okay, that's way off. It's not even close to what I'm getting to here. Of course, with my battery at 12.4, I ended up right around, I guess, I could say 75% discharge, state of charge on that battery. And sorry for the wobbly camera, I didn't use a tripod. But some of the calculators said more like 2 hours before they would get to 50% state of charge. And that sounds like, by what I was reading, for like a deep cycle battery, that's probably the healthiest low to go. As you can see, this chart also looks like it shows for the AGM 50% state of charge, it gets out of the green. Then the deep cycle wet, it says you can go lower, but by what I read online, it sounds like 50 is a good target to keep those in a healthy state. So I will link to the calculators I found online, and you can do what you want with them. I'm probably looking at buying a bigger battery and just running maybe the inverter if the power goes out again on the fish tank. But that's where I'm at, and then recharging the battery off my car. Interesting study. I'll leave it at that.